Hey everybody, this is Arky. Today we're going to be talking about a Priest Experience farming guide. This is specific routing for the Priest class. We're going to go over the skills that you're going to need, the different kind of gear you're going to prioritize, and then the pathing that you're going to be taking to maximize your efficiency so that you can be gaining at least a level per run. And just a quick disclaimer, this is currently oriented around Season 2, and as a lot of people know, Season 2 is very low in population, so it's very easy to do this kind of XP farm. That doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to farm like this in later seasons, but it will get more difficult as player population grows. There's also no telling what exactly is going to be available as you increase your levels, if there are going to be any rewards, so keep that in mind. This is just to kind of give you a show of what I did so that you can make your own pathing off of it. To start out with, the stuff you're going to want to use is going to be the Glowing Sanctum. That way, with all of your autos, you're getting your mana back so that you can continue spamming your skills. The only other main piece of gear you're going to need is your Battle Priest Shoulder Guards. This is just to get a little bit of a movement speed increase when you consume a Holy Spark. It's not super necessary, but it just kind of helps. And then you're also going to want to wear Skull Rings so that you have as much holy damage going forward as possible. And then you're going to, ideally the way I did it was use 4 stacks of your Holy Shield cards so that you have as many shields as possible just in case you get into some trouble. Other than that, you're going to want to use whatever food you can to increase your max health, your stamina, and also increase your damage. The first option you're going to want for your skills is going to be Gleaming Star. It's the first choice node in your star options. You don't want to waste time having to use your Guided Star. The Bouncing Star, you don't have as much control. You want to have the Gleaming Star hitting every mob that's in front of you first. This will help keep mobs from getting closer to you while you're also using your autos to get mana back and keep everything locked down. The second skill is going to be Heaven's Wrath. Heaven's Wrath is basically like Heaven's Fury if you are unaware, but it sends a pillar forward in front of you that will stun every single mob that steps into it. This will become increasingly important because the pathing is going to have you running through a lot of mobs and LOSing and lining them so that they're all running in a straight line towards you, so that as they're running in that line, you throw a Heaven's Wrath out and they all consistently get stunned and also put all of the Fury damage on top of each other. This will quickly kill a lot of enemies all at once, as you'll see in the footage. Alright, so as you can see on the map that we have here, the routing, you're either going to start on the left or the right side of the Lightfall and Cemetery. Depends on where you spawn in. Regardless of where you spawn in, you're always going to start at the cemetery. And then you're going to make a small circle throughout the cemetery, and then you're going to head north. Then you're going to go up to the Lightbearer's Keep using some verticality movement that a priest has access to. And then you're going to go in a circle there. You're going to head up to the little chapel that's up on the mountaintop. And then from there, you're going to just float your way all the way back down to the cemetery and then start over. This route specifically will be using Priest Verticality so that you can go from the cemetery straight up to the castle and then float right back down. It's very similar to a hunter and a wizard pathing, but we just don't go to barons because it's a lot easier for us to control the undead and to just go straight up and down from spot to spot. Alright guys, so here is the beginning of the footage for my most efficient solo run that I had. Not every single run was exactly like this, as I came into the cemetery from a different direction this time as opposed to most times. However, that doesn't mean that the circle is going to be any less different. The pathing is still basically the same, just sometimes it connects a little differently. The biggest rule about all of this stuff is after you figure out a pathing that works for you, is to consistently do it over and over and refine it so that you can keep adding it. What I ran into eventually were there were times that I was going too fast. I ended up pulling a few extra mobs than what I was originally, but that's just because I was running too fast. The number one rule really is that as long as there's a mob within sight, to pull it while you're moving, if it's worth it. If it's just a small mob and it's off by itself, don't waste your time, keep moving. If it's a big elite mob and you can kill it while running, always do that. Anyway, the rest of the video is going to be the pathing that I use. I have the first run through of the pathing at a normal pace, and then after that everything's going to be sped up quite a bit so that you can just see it being rushed through. Typically what I would do is start at the cemetery, then I'd go to the castle, then back to the cemetery, then back to the castle, then the last run would be at the cemetery, and then I would go to extraction. So it'd be a 3 and 2 kind of thing. Like I said before, this pathing is specific to priest. This is only doable in trio or mixed lobbies, and is only efficient if you are left completely alone, which means you have to be able to farm mobs uninterrupted with nobody else around to ruin the respawn times, and that you're able to consistently just constantly be killing things and running from spot to spot. This is doable with a trio or a duo. They'll just have to work a little bit harder to run around you and kill things that you typically wouldn't be fighting, while also not ruining the respawn timers. When I'm a solo, I don't. When I was running a solo, I never once touched a gargoyle or an enchanted armor or a wraith, and quite a few things that were around what I was pulling. But I had a couple of times and a few times where I had a duo or a trio running around, and they were having to work around me and work as well as they could to make that as efficient, because otherwise you're just splitting the XP and you're not actually getting enough value out of it. It is doable, but you have to find out a little bit different of a pathing for them to run. Alright guys, and at 5,330 experience, this was my most efficient solo run. I hope you gain what you need to out of this video with some pathing and some tips. Have fun!